So the thing is, we've been friends for so long, and from the time that I first met you, my mother and your mother has told me that you've got polio.
Yes.
And it's like I didn't realize that until I entered medical school, and I found out that what you actually had was post polio paralysis. So but we've never talked about it in the last 50 years that we've known each other. We've never talked about the disease that you had and all that. You recall, or you know of how you got the polio in the beginning?
I was born in Scotland because at that time my father was doing his studies, and when he completed his studies, on the way back to Malaya at that time, it was by ship, and by the time we reached India, it seemed there was an outbreak of polio in India. So by the time I arrived in Malaya, I was told that I had polio. I was about 1.5 years old when I was in Malaya. When I was afflicted with polio, they told me initially I couldn't sit up, but gradually after 2 years, I was able to stand up using both of my legs. Both of my legs are polio afflicted, and during the younger days, of course, your legs are still young and strong, even though they are polio afflicted. I can still walk, and in some ways, walk at a running pace. So that I was told that I could go to a normal school, primary school, and that's where I met you. And the first time I met you, of course, you were there, and you saw me having difficulty in walking. That you helped me carrying the bag. So I said, fine. I mean, at least, because it was the walking with polio is like you sway your body. So it's actually your center of gravity is always changing, and it's very difficult to walk while you're carrying one bag on one side, because you have to move your body so that you won't fall off. So you helped me a lot when you helped me to carry the bag to the class when I was in standard 1. And then we stayed in school up to Form 6, and even went to the same university. Actually, I wanted to also be active, but I'm restricted because of my physical disability. I would join the Boy Scouts, the Boys Brigade, and play sports. But in the end, I only end up cheering at the sideline. Especially when it comes to physical exercise session, when the others are going out playing their games, hockey and football and all that, I end up only sitting in the room. Reading and all that.
But despite that, I noticed that you had a very positive attitude towards life. It was you were always laughing, and you were always doing things that it was quite. It was not somebody who is feeling sorry for himself about the not being able to walk.
Well, in all the study years, it was very difficult, because in the sense that, like in school, our school had a lot of stairs, right? It was sometimes 3 stories, and sometimes 2 stories, and every time we in the school, when there's a change in the period of classes, we have to change the class. We have to move about. Those are the times where sometimes I end up being the last entering the class, because it was a physically challenged way of me to go from one class to the next class. Unless the class does not change, and the whole class stays there. So unfortunately, in our time, when we were studying, we keep on changing classes. So let's say you go to physics, you got to go to the physics lab. And then you go to chemistry, you got to move to the chemistry lab, and so on. So it's a bit challenging, and that is not only in the school, but as well in the university. where there are always stairs, and in universities there are actually I'm afraid to say that in most universities there are more stairs than lifts. If you go from one lecture hall to the next lecture hall, so it's very challenging for me to be there. So most of the time what I do is I'll go, let's say, half an hour earlier, so that I catch my breath before I enter the lecture hall and so on.
At the
Because-
time you were walking, you were able to walk, right? It was a bit of an odd walking, but you were able to walk.
Yes, I was able to walk using a walking stick, and then the one with orthopedic walking stick.
When we went to school, I remember every time there was a school holiday, you went off somewhere for some operation or something, and then you came back, your leg was in a cast. And what were these operations
Oh
for?
yeah, because one of the result of being a polio victim is that your muscles become paralyzed or semi-paralyzed, and sometimes the paralysis of the muscles are not the same. So as you grow up, one muscle can be stronger than the other muscle. So what happens is that one muscle will pull, and the other muscle, which is less
Weaker.
is weakened, will not be able to pull. So in the end, my right foot was clubbed, meaning that it looks like a golf club. It didn't show when I was at 3 to 5 years old, but when I was at 7 years old, my right foot was clubbed. So actually, I was walking with the top of my foot instead of the sole of the foot, and that's why I had the first correction to get rid of the club foot, putting the sole back 90 degrees
On the ground.
on the ground. So being a orthopedic surgery, it would take a very long time for the bones to heal. That was why I was away for quite a number of times. In fact, the clubbing of the foot did not end when I was at 7. When I was at standard 4, the same thing starts to happen again. So I have to go for another corrective surgery because I was still growing at that time.
I remember that. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was during the school holidays that you
Yes,
went.
school
yeah.
holidays, and sometimes I miss a whole semester of the studies. What happened was the clubbing of the foot only ended when we reached puberty. We stopped growing.
Okay.
Yeah, but at that time, that means when I was
The
in
damage is
Form
done,
3,
right?
Yeah. When you stop growing only at Form 3, that was the last time I had my surgery. So when I was hospitalized, I missed a lot of my lessons in Form 3. That was the first time we had our public examination.
What was it like? You've already mentioned in the university you had difficulty moving around and all that, but when you started work, what was was there any problem in trying to get a job? Was there any problem with your work and all that?
Well, the thing is that the last corrective surgery I had, because at that time when they diagnosed my leg again, they were saying that because of so many surgeries on my right leg for the clubbing of the right leg, the doctors said that they have to fuse my ankle. Otherwise, the ankle cannot bear my weight. So I went for a long surgery for 6 months for them to fuse my right ankle. So actually my right ankle cannot move at all.
And that was at what age?
That was after I graduated. And after graduation, I was looking for a job.